Hey guys, Joe here, back to the Word. Today's video is a little bit different from my normal, and what I wanted to do is capture a conversation that I have with young men all the time who I disciple. That young men, and I know this from my personal experience, we have to guard against sexual temptation and sin on a regular basis. And a lot of the guys I disciple eventually get around to asking me a question that we have a fear that because of our past, because of our even present struggle sometimes with sexual sin, sexual brokenness, that we are going to someday meet a great girl, be in a relationship. She's going to find out about our past and reject us and turn us down. A lot of guys carry that weight all the time, and I sit in discipleship meetings and they may not ask it in that way, but that's a fear that they're scared about it. And so this is the conversation I have with them about moving forward, about pursuing and marrying someone who understands the gospel. That's what it gets down to. This first hit me, and God really used it in my life, and I shared this conversation with them when I was at Cedarville University. We had this guy come in and talk about relationships, and that night he had a Q&A. And this girl got up and asked the question. She said, if I'm a virgin, I've been preparing and preserving myself for my future husband, and I'm dating a guy, and it gets to a place in our relationship where he shares either a past struggle or a present struggle against pornography and how he's trying to overcome that and how he's trying to get accountability. She's like, what do I need to do as a Christian girl in that situation, as a woman who wants desires purity in a relationship? And the guy, I just remember him, and his words just were so comforting to me. He looked at her and he said, first of all, I want to say preserving yourself, pursuing purity is a beautiful thing. That is great for you. He said, the reality is that men are exposed to pornography on an average age of 8 in our current culture. And he said, no man at 8 years old has the ability to really resist that urge and temptation. So every man, to some degree, is going to have a battle, a struggle against sexual sin to talk about, to share. And so he said this, he said, if he is willing in a relationship to be honest and open with you about his past, about present struggles, and his desire for purity, to keep Christ, to honor God in your relationship, he said that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. He said, if one of my daughters was dating a guy, got to a point where they asked, and the guy looked at her and said, there's nothing to talk about, I've never struggled. He said, I would look at my daughter and tell her to run. He said, that man is not being honest with you, he's not being honest with God, and he's not being honest with himself about the temptation towards sexual sin because it's so powerful. And so at this moment, I tell that story to the guys I disciple, and I look at them and I say, you want to marry someone who understands the gospel, that God can cover our past and we can struggle in our sin towards Christ likeness. You want to marry someone that understands the gospel, that understands that once you met Christ, that all things became new, that your desire was for him, to honor him, to pursue purity. And so when you meet, I tell the guys I disciple, when you meet that girl that you love, you're in a relationship, and you share your past, and she sees your desire for Christ, that's going to be a beautiful thing if she understands the gospel and has a relationship with Jesus. And so I look at the guys that I'm discipling, I say, you need to be serious now about killing sin in your life and pursuing Christ, because that is going to be attractive to the girl you're going to meet in the future. And you have no fear of rejection in that point. The past is in the past. You can't change it. What you can change now is your perspective. Are you going to honor God, focus on him, and live and walk by his Spirit? That's what you need to be doing. So as I title this video, if you've gone too far sexually and a ton of other things, what I want you to know is that the gospel and God's grace can cover any sin, but we must pick it up. We don't continue to live in sin. We get serious about pursuing Christ, keeping him first. And as you do that, and you live a gospel-centered life, and you move towards Christ, and you pursue purity, and you get accountability, and you pull sin into the light and allow Christ to cover it, you don't have to fear the future. You don't have to fear being rejected in a future relationship because of your past, because she will see your relationship with Jesus, and that will be attractive to her and will preserve and be a bedrock of your relationship. God bless. See you guys soon. I hope that helps you all out as you move towards Christ and keep the gospel centered in your lives. See you soon.